Hello guys, today we're going over lesson 1.4, subtracting integers. Alright, so right now we're going to talk about how to subtract integers. Now when you guys are subtracting integers, I really want you to think about this as adding the additive inverse. So let's remember what the additive inverse is. The additive inverse is whatever number combines with our original number to meet 0 or to sum 0. So for example, the additive inverse of -1 is 1, the additive inverse of -5 is 5, because -1 plus 1 is equal to 0, and -5 plus 5 is equal to 0. Alright, so let's look at 1 minus 1. Now 1 minus 1 can be rewritten as 1 plus -1, because we are substituting our -1 right here, we are substituting this 1 that we are subtracting with a -1, and we are switching to adding. So see how we have this -1 here originally, and then we're switching to this over here. We're going to change that expression so it's easier to work with. And then we could see that when we solve this, that 1 plus -1 would be equal to 0. Now similarly down here, we're going to substitute this -6 with a positive 6 right here, and we'll switch the sign from subtraction to addition. So 2 minus -6 will become 2 plus 6. And then we could see that this would sum to 8. What if we add more than 2 integers? Well, how many of you guys remember PEMDAS? PEMDAS is our order of operations. It stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So basically, we are going to group our numbers together with parentheses so that way we can better solve them. So if we look at 2 minus 6 minus -3, we could also look at this as parentheses 2 minus 6 parentheses minus -3. Now again, we're going to substitute our additive integers in here to make this a better expression. So 2 minus 6 is going to be 2 plus -6 minus -3. When we solve this here, we would get -4 minus -3. And one more time, we're going to substitute in our additive inverse. So we'll get -4 plus 3. And this would be -1. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope so, because I'm going to move on here. Alrighty, now let's look at some examples. So we want to find -2 minus 5. Alright, so let's rewrite this using our additive inverses. So we'll start with our -2, and then we'll change our -5 to a plus -5. And when we solve this here, we can see that we have 2 negative numbers, so our value is going to be negative. And we would have 5 plus 2 would be 7. So -2 plus -5 would be equal to -7. Similarly, looking at this one, we will also be using opposite integers. So 3 minus -6 would be equal to 3 plus 6, because we are substituting our negative sign and our positive sign, and we are switching to our opposite integers, or our additive inverses. Those are really both synonymous. And then we could see here that 3 plus 6 would be equal to, I'll go back to blue, 3 plus 6 would be equal to 9. Alrighty, so one more time, we want to look at 4 minus 1. Now, I know this looks pretty simple. 4 minus 1 is probably a problem you guys have seen a million times, but let's solve it using our additive inverses. So we start with 4 minus 1. This would be equal to 4 plus -1. And then 4 plus -1 would sum to equal 3. Now let's look at a little larger number here. We have 41 minus 275. Well, once again, let's rewrite that using our additive inverses. So 41 minus 275 would be equal to 41 plus -275. Then we sum this together here. Since -275 is larger, we're going to be left with that negative number, and then we'll be subtracting we'll be adding together 41 and -275, and that'll give us 234. All right there, so I hope you guys were all able to make sense of that there. So using the number line, let's describe the expression. Okay, so let's see what we're working with here. So if we're starting off, we're starting at 0, okay? Our original value is 0. And then we're going 3 places in the right direction. And right is positive, so we'll be starting with a positive 3. Then we are going to the left this many places, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now it's remember, moving to the left is always going to be negative, so this would be a negative 6. So what does our expression say? Well, we have a positive 3 and a negative 6. So we can rewrite this as 3 plus negative 6. And then obviously this answer right here would be negative 3, because that's where we end up with on the number line. All right. We'll go on to our last slide here. So this is a practice problem for you guys to work on. So what is the value of negative 13 plus 7? What is the value of 7 minus 13? Now these two both look pretty similar, so let's explain why they are equal. Yesterday's temp was 14 degrees warmer than it is today. Yesterday the temp was 25 degrees. What is the temp today? And finally, draw a number line to show 4 minus 6. Alrighty guys, that's it for today. Good luck on those problems, and I'll see you all in class tomorrow.